Welcome to Political Beatdown. Michael Cohen and this community is still standing, so we're still fighting. This community doesn't give up. This community moves forward. This community builds. This community supports each other. This community recognizes, of course, that the results were horrible, tragic, pick your word, but also let's pick ourselves up together as a community and do what we have to do. Do we want to be in a resistance mode versus a build mode and do great things for people and improve people's lives mode? I would prefer to be in build people's lives mode and help people move forward based on how President Biden has actually led to some pretty great things that he doesn't get enough credit for by any means, but we talk about it here. But here we are, and I want to let everybody know, I want to look you in the eye through the YouTube channel or through the audio and let you know Michael Cohen and I and our team are not going anywhere. Our resolve is stronger than ever, and we build and we grow stronger. We're here for you. We will always be here for you. And, we just have to pick ourselves up. That's my start at the beginning. But Cohen, everybody wants to hear from you.
Yeah. So let me say this to all of our brigaders, right? Despite the fact that the person who we wanted to win did not win, I think it's very important that everybody take the temperature down for many different reasons. One, for your own health, but two, in order to heal. The country needs to heal. And many of you are now saying to yourself in your mind, yeah, but how do we heal under an upcoming Trump administration? And you will. And I'm going to say something that many of you may find odd. I truly believe that the vitriolic rhetoric that we have heard over the course of the last 10 months or so on Trump's campaign, I do not believe that any of it will be, that any of it will come to fruition. I believe that at 79 years of age, Donald Trump legitimately wants to use this presidency as a legacy presidency. Now, do I think he's going to do mass deportation? Absolutely. Why do I say that? Because in March of 2017, when I was in the Oval Office with him, that was the very first bill that he put forth, and it was a complete disaster. This time, I believe that they have a different plan. Maybe, hopefully, one that's actually thought out, and not thought out by Steve Bannon and Steve Miller, but by people like Senator Lankford. Maybe he's taking that bill and putting it forward. But I want people to stop with the doom and gloom. America will survive no matter what. America has survived many things since its inception 249 years ago. America will survive a Donald Trump administration. And I think what we also need to do is, instead of constantly looking for the negative in him, because there are things, and you've heard me say it here on Political Beatdown, there are certain policies that Trump puts forth that I actually agree with. For example, I do believe that America should have tight borders. I believe it. My wife came here legally. My father came here legally. Friends of mine came here legally. People just don't have the right to enter the country and stay and then declare citizenship. So I do believe that. Now, there are parts of that citizenship application that I don't agree with, but at the end of the day, no matter whether you like it or not, Donald Trump will be the 47th president of the United States. We all should want our president, regardless of your political affiliation. We all should want our president to succeed. All right? We should, because if the president succeeds, America succeeds, meaning we all get the benefit. And that's what we should want. My hope and my prayer is that he acts more, what's the right word to say here, Ben? He acts more civil that on Inauguration Day, January 20th, he comes out and he says, enough with the hatred, enough with the anger, enough with the vitriol. What we want to be a unified United States of America. Please don't say that you disagree. We all want America to be its best, and he is going to be the president, whether we like it or not. And what we need to do is and that's what Ben and I are going to continue to do here. We're going to continue to look at what is going on, and we're going to continue to report on it truthfully and factually, with accuracy and with facts. That's the important thing. If he does something which is great for America, I swear to you, I will be the first one to come out and say, I think this is fantastic. Ben may not agree, but I think that this is fantastic. If he does something which I find to be abhorrent, I will be the first one, along with Ben, to turn around and to say that I find what he is abhorrent, and I truly hope that, despite the fact that they'll probably have the House, the Senate, and the presidency and the Supreme Court, I hope that it doesn't pass, and I hope that we, as citizens of this country, ensure that that policy doesn't, become law. This is just a reality, and we have to live within the reality. So when he says that he wants to be a dictator, I don't believe he's going to become a dictator over the 4 years. I don't believe that America's democracy is that easy to destroy. When he says that he's going to publicly execute Mark Milley, 4-star general, I don't believe that that's going to happen. I really believe at 79 years of age, he wants this presidency to be a legacy presidency, and a lot of this is going to be determined by who ends up filling positions in the administration. So let's just wait and see.
Well, I will always, where I disagree with Michael Cohen, I will say so. Cohen, I appreciate that you believe that. I disagree with what you just said vehemently. I think that he wants to be a dictator on day one. I think bloody mass deportations, which they say is going to happen, in and of itself already tells you about how it's going to be going. And look, you and I may, have more disagreement.
Can I say one more thing, Ben? Can I just say one more thing?
I just look, I want to let you know that I trust him and his administration literally zero. I think they're going to do the things they say they're going to do. And you and I may have hearty debates about it one way or the other, but, I'm prepared right now to do what Gavin Newsom's saying. When Gavin Newsom says we need an emergency special legislature right now to hunker down and protect people's freedoms, and I see that Trump's talking about bloody mass deportations. He's talking about putting Kash Patel and Rick Grinnell, the head of CIA, and the types of things that Rick and Kash have said. I have no reason to give them any benefit of the doubt. And the way, look, what Biden said today about, I think we have to recognize the results of the election are what the results are. However, that doesn't mean we can, when someone says bloody mass deportation, that means people living here will be ripped from their homes in bloody ways. So, you and I may have a slight disagreement, there over it, but I root for the country, but to me, in rooting for the country, Donald Trump already said, as you hear my dogs in the background barking, Donald Trump already lied to us. He said the war in Ukraine was going to end on day one. The war in Ukraine didn't end today. So he's already a liar.
Right. Let me say one more thing as it relates to this. I say what I'm saying. First of all, I am optimistic. Why? Because I know him. I've been around him long enough to know he will say whatever it takes in order to win. What was the goal? The goal was to win the presidency for multiple reasons. The first and the most important, of course, is to avoid the accountability for the lawsuits. He has now won, and I truly believe he will avoid all accountability, even on the cases that have already been decided. I believe he will. I do not believe Merchan is going to sentence a president-elect, to prison or to jail or to anything. And I say this, and again, he talks tough, but we've heard this sort of rhetoric before, and it never came to fruition. So my belief is that at 79 years of age, 79, he's now accomplished something that has only been accomplished once before. That's 2 non-consecutive presidential terms. I believe he actually wants to create a legacy for the name of one that is not tainted with dictatorship, with anarchy, or any of the other sort of fascist words that you want to throw in there. And honestly, it's what I'm hoping. I don't have a crystal ball, right? I could have that magic 8-ball shake it. Do you think that Donald Trump's going to want to be a dictator on day one? Shake again. You shake again and it says no, yes, whatever it might be. I don't have a crystal ball. It's my hope. And I have a lot of faith in, believe it or not, our democratic republic, and also many of the people who are serving right now as members of Congress, senators, governors, etc. I have to. Otherwise, our country is doomed already.
Cohen, I hope springs eternal, but I have to just be as blunt as I can be, which is I have the mode in which I think what needs to happen is that when someone says in government that they're going to be a dictator on day one, they're going to be a dictator on day one. And I think that what's critical is that there are modes right now to figure out, here's what they're doing here, here's what they're doing here. I mean, look, you want to see what the MAGA people are posting? I mean, they're out there on social media right now saying the most heinous things about women, saying gloating over this, saying things like, it's my honor to inform you all that Project 2025 was real the whole time. I mean, the guy ran a campaign on retribution. The whole campaign was to go after people. So now that he has the power and he's appointing people to get the retribution, how one can think that he's not going to go and do the thing that he said he does with absolute power. I mean, I truly think what we're building here, whether it's with Congressman, Eric Swalwell on the show, we're going to have multiple other members of Congress, is to educate people what you can do in this. Look, I want to hope. I want to be in hope world.
By the way, I want you to understand, and I've said this before, what I just said is being said out of hope and optimism. I want that. And again, knowing him better than pretty much almost anybody, including some of the sycophants that are still hanging around him, I truly believe that there is no way in the world that you're going to see public executions.
Cohen, you said the same thing about Musk on Twitter. Remember when Musk went on Twitter and you said, I think he's going to use this platform, because you're a glass half full, even in the crappiest of moments. And this is why I love you as a close friend. But I remember Musk takes over Twitter, and the same types of things you're saying now, you were saying about Musk. And you were saying, I don't think he's going to turn. Remember? You said, I don't think he's going to go in that direction, because I honestly think that you are, and I mean this sincerely, everybody watching, I've known Cohen now as the most loving family man. Every time I speak to him, I hear about his beautiful family, his wife, his daughter, his son, what they're doing. I've never actually spoken to many people in my life who have the kind of heart that Michael Cohen has. At the same time, Cohen, when Musk came in, you were saying, hey, I think that I don't think everyone's saying he's going to do terrible things. Would you agree that he made Twitter even worse than your wildest?
100%. 100%. What I'm trying to be is I'm trying to be optimistic, but I want to be a realist. I see some people say, you got to stay the fighter that you are. By the way, come January 20th, as whether I'm a SEAL Team 6 fighter or whether I'm an intergalactic warrior, Donald Trump is going to be inaugurated as the 47th president of the United States. All right, whether we like it or not, that is a fact. My belief is that the system will not allow him to do the things that he had claimed that he wanted to do. What we did over the course of the past year on this program with our brigaders, with all of you, is we called out the statements that he made because they should have been, without exaggeration, they should have been the basis for him not to be either elected president or even be allowed to run. But that didn't happen. And so now that he accomplished, and remember, Donald will say anything that he needs to say to win. I believe a lot of the rhetoric, especially the ultra vitriolic, the problem though is MAGA still believes that crap, where he is really trying to now, I guess, dial it back a little bit. And that way you're not expecting that on day
Cohen,
number
what are you
one,
basing that on?
showing
Other,
up
other
at
than your
anybody's
hope,
house.
other than your hope, and I understand. Look, anybody out there right now, though, in the chat or whoever, that you think, like, hey, Cohen, what do you mean by Cohen took the freaking stand against this
Twice.
guy Cohen's been in front of Congress 9 times. So let me say this about Cohen. There's probably no one who's tried to hold this guy more accountable and put more of his life in courtrooms, in congressional hearings, and in general, and who's been Cohen. Just so everybody knows, and you all know this from joining, Cohen was put in solitary confinement by this guy.
Twice.
So the fact that I'm having this disagreement with Cohen very live and very publicly, one is my commitment to just giving you my opinions, and I'm not just going to, as you all know, I'm going to give you my opinions if I disagree with them. But I also think it's important to reflect on, I don't know Trump the way you know him. I wasn't testifying. I've stopped doing my other job to quit to create this media platform. But what I've done is pales. Let me be clear to everybody. It pales in comparison anywhere near Cohen. And Cohen, I know you're close to this, but all I have to express is there, in my perspective, and I'm removed from this in a different way than you're not. And I understand why you feel the way, but he has done zero since the election to make me believe he's moderating or modulating his language. In fact, every data point I have, from what his spokesperson Caroline Levitt says to what Kash Patel says, he had Byron Donalds on talking about the deportations. And what's going to be critical right now, as would I love for Midas not to be on the front lines of resistance? Hell yes. I would like to talk about expanding people's health care, making people, improving the Infrastructure Act stuff, not being in a mode of, hey, everybody, they're saying this, we need to contact these people in your family to protect them. But that's the mode we're in. And I don't know any data point that you have to suggest that all of a sudden there's major differences, other than hope.
I don't, other than hope, which is how I started it off by saying I have to. And again, I do know him, many things he has said over the years, which were very tough talk. He never followed through on. I can only hope, because I love this country and I love our brigaders. And, I want to be optimistic. I want to be hopeful, because without it, what do we have? To walk around right now for the next 70 days in fear? I just don't think that the systems, I don't think that 50+% of our population would stand for this horse shit. Whether he has the courts, whether he has, whether he has the Senate and or the House, it doesn't make a difference. I just don't believe that Americans will stand for imprisoning people because they're critics, or shutting down ABC, NBC, CBS because they said something bad about him, or shutting down newspapers and so on, or instituting, what is the act, the Insurrection Act, that he'll be able to hold people for treason if they say things that are bad about the president. I just don't buy it. I know that it riled up his MAGA base, but I just don't believe it. As much as it's possible, don't get me wrong, I just don't believe it. And I don't want to live in fear. All right? I don't want to live that he's going to do something, because I promise you, I will be the first one to stand up and not permit it. All right? I will not stop my fight simply, but I'm hoping and I'm optimistic somewhat that there won't be this type of fight.
I spoke with Congressmember Eric Swalwell earlier in the day. Let me play for you what Congressmember Swalwell said, if we have it, Jeremy. Let's play that now. So, Congressmember, not the result that people wanted. I'm telling our audience, though, now is not the time to give up, not the time to give up hope. Now is the time to get to work. You put out a message today to that effect. What's your message to everybody out there?
Yeah, let's get loud and let's get going. Because if a young woman in Florida, where a 6-week ban is now the law of the land, can get up today and find her way through, we can too. And if a soldier in a trench in eastern Ukraine, who just saw their best ally walk away from them, can keep fighting, we can too. And if a high school student who's going to go to school today in a country that's going to arm mass shooters to the teeth, and they're still going to get through it, we can too. It doesn't feel good to lose. It sucks. I hate it. I hate what this winner says about our country and the people who make it so great. But we have work to do. We've dealt with this guy before. He's a one-term president coming in. He's in serious cognitive decline. We're not helpless. We are privileged to be among those who can do something. And by the way, there's no time to mourn or grieve for too long, because the next play is going to happen pretty soon when he starts to nominate all of the cabinet officials who will implement Trump's Project 2025. And so we got to be loud. We have to get in front of all of the senators who are going to be voting on this and make our cases to them as to why people like Rick Grenell and Kash Patel and all these others in the rogues gallery cannot be in charge of our country, why our kids need vaccines, and we're not going to let RFK Jr. as the health secretary take them away. So there's a lot of plays coming down the field. And so we should, be upset, but let's put our helmets on, get back on the field and defend, the yardage between us and Project 2025 becoming the law of the land.
I agree with that. Let me be very clear, though, to all the Midas Mighty out there. This network will be on the front lines of the resistance against fascism, period, full stop. Each and every day, and there may be disagreements, there will be resistance here, and we will not let fascism take over this, at any point take over this country. And hope springs eternal, but also we've got to be clear-eyed, I think, in some of these situations. I got to hit the first ad break. When we come back, maybe more spirited, robust debate and discussion on this episode, but a lot more data to go over. Let's take our first quick break.
Restore your zen and embrace the natural power of cannabis this holiday season with Via. This holiday season, unwind and recharge with Via. So that's whether you're enjoying a quiet evening at home or you're embracing the festival cheer. Via's premium THC-free gummies will help you find the perfect holiday balance. Via is well known for their award-winning THC-free gummies, vapes, THCA flower, soothing topicals, and calming drops. Something that I need. Calm. I mean, they're all crafted with the highest quality hemp sorts from trusted, independently owned American farms. And the best part, Via legally ships to nearly all states in the United States, in discreet packaging directly to your door with a worry-free guarantee. Plus, no medical card is required. So if you're 21 plus, check out our link to Via's website in our description. And most importantly, use code BEAT for 15% off. Now look, let me share this with you. I've tried the THC-free gummies to help me sleep. And let me tell you, and anyone who knows me knows that I've had sleep issues my entire life. So, I mean, where has this product been my entire life? I don't know. So go unlock the power of nature with Via's organic and vegan hemp extracts, perfect for relaxation and, more importantly, rejuvenation. Via is the only lifestyle hemp brand. They use compounds found in hemp along with active plant extracts to create products, each with a specific effect in mind. So whether you want to get better sleep like I do, ease anxiety, enhance your mood, or just get high, they have something for you. They also have the zero THC products, the ones that I use. So if THC isn't for you, you can still take advantage of their CBD line with products designed for sleep, for focus, and for energy that'll keep you glowing all year long. Their products range from 0 milligrams to 100 milligrams of THC. So these guys have you covered, whether you're looking to microdose or enjoy more potent effects. Via is well known for their premium THCA flower, grown indoors in state-of-the-art facilities and harvested at peak THCA levels to emphasize a natural aroma and flavor. The THC flower strains are grown with care and they're rigorously tested to ensure the highest quality, free from harsh pesticides or nasty chemicals. So I want to share something with you guys about Via. First and foremost, leading in the industry with over 500,000 customers served to date. And it's made in the US of A, farmed and crafted with care. Their award-winning service, their experience is top-notch. It's top-notch customer support. I mean, and sourced from the finest hemp for your peace of mind. Plus, it's lab-tested and certified. Plus, their premium products are affordable and accessible so that they will fit your budget. So this holiday, gift yourself some peace of mind. And again, if you're 21 plus, you got to be 21 plus. Check out the link of Via in our description and use code BEAT to receive 15% off. So after you purchase, they're going to ask you where you heard about them. So please help to support our show and tell them that we sent you. So this holiday season, enhance your every day with Via. Go now. Waiting for dinner? Spice things up a little bit with Golden Nugget Online Casino. With hundreds of the hottest games, Golden Nugget lets you live it up in the downtime on classics like Cleopatra or exclusive games only found on Golden Nugget Online Casino. So forget about waiting. Golden Nugget keeps the action rolling while your dinner simmers. And right now, new players can get $50 instantly in casino credits. And all you have to do is sign up with code BEATDOWN and deposit just $5. $5 to get 50 in casino credits. Make any moment golden. You have a gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Or in West Virginia, visit www.1800gambler.net. And please play responsibly. 21 plus, physically present in Michigan, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia only. Void in Ontario. One per new customer. Minimum $5 deposit. Max $50 issued in non-withdrawable casino credits that expire in 168 hours. See terms at goldennuggetcasino.com/welcome.
Thank you to those pro-democracy sponsors right there. And you may be saying, hey, guys, those ads are a little long. And why do you need these sponsors? Can we cut the ads? Look, one of the things that I think is so important that I hope you all agree with is now more than ever, we need pro-democracy, independent media. You know, it's my view that corporate media beyond screwed this up. I think we see corporate media in the control of billionaire oligarchs who have agendas. And so we have to find creative ways to build platforms, and we don't have outside investors. So one of the ways we build is through those pro-democracy sponsors. Now, Cohen, I want to, as part of my assessment of what we do here, for those who have been watching my videos, I don't think it's been productive to point the finger and blame this group or blame that group. I think it's important to learn how to build coalitions in order to win. But I'll tell you the take, honestly, that pisses me off the most right now. It's people, and you may disagree with this. We may get into more heated debates on this episode. It's people who are blaming President Biden. And there are a group of people out there who are attacking Biden. We had to dig ourselves up from what Biden created. I hear that over and over again. And for those who watch this, that I was one of the voices out there that was saying originally that I think that President Biden should not have dropped out at that time. I'm on the record of saying it, so it's not a shocker. I wanted to make sure, we were supportive of what happened after. I think Vice President Kamala Harris and Governor Walz, in my view, they ran a good campaign. She clearly won the debate, and I thought that they had a unifying message. But the people who are saying we had to pick ourselves up from Biden, let's be clear. Biden in 2020 got 81 million votes. Say what you want to say. He was able to build a coalition that was a winning one. Also, in my view, if people spent the same amount of time on the Democratic side tearing Biden down, and boy, were they good at it, Cohen, when they wanted to go op-eds every freaking day, 24 hours. Attack. Imagine if you all spent,
Democrat.
Imagine if you all spent 10% of the time actually explaining what his economic record truly was and explaining that America was leading the world in GDP, that the Infrastructure Act, the Inflation Reduction Act that was led by Biden led to historic investments. Maybe if you spent the same amount of time as attacking a successful incumbent president, actually messaging that Biden supported a bipartisan border bill that was being killed, rather than buying into right-wing talking points to attack your successful president. That's my hot take on it. And by the way, I think Kamala and Walz, they did what they had to do. I thought I was supportive of the campaign. I'm not making any comments, do I think that it would have been different if this happened or that? My point is that there's a lot of pointing fingers and blaming, and the one that pisses me off the most, where I will vocalize it on this show, are those who say we had to dig out of Biden, or Biden this. Dig out of someone the person who beat him, and rather than help him and run to his side to tear down a good freaking person, a decent man, who that one, I have to call that out here on Beatdown.
Yeah, look, let me say this, because I know that there's a lot. First of all, there's a ton of trolls that are here today, and everybody is welcome at the Political Beatdown, Indictment Watch and our Midas Touch Network show. Everybody's welcome. But here's the important thing to understand. First and foremost, Joe Biden came out yesterday in a short, but in a sweet and in a wonderful, wonderful way. In just a few minutes, 5 minutes of a speech, went ahead and acknowledged that the election was fair. Do you know how many people in our comments so far had said that there was some election fraud and so on? Let's not be like them. Everything isn't a conspiracy theory. Let's not dream something up that didn't happen. All right? The American people spoke. It's not what I wanted, that I can assure you. And it's why for at least a year, we were talking about you have to listen to what he's saying in order to make the determination that he is not best suited over someone like Kamala Harris to run this country for the next 4 years. But that's not what the plurality of Americans decided. So here's what they did not cheat. And we have to stop it because we sound as ridiculous as they are. Everything is not a conspiracy theory. So let's just calm ourselves and understand that our democracy, our democratic republic, is really strong, and it will not, my hope, allow for the bullshit that they're talking about to ultimate. Do I say none of it will occur? No. I believe some of it will occur. But do I believe that we will end up in a dictatorship or a Fuhrer scenario? I pray to God no, because I want to be able to leave to my children, and God willing one day my grandchildren, and willing great grandchildren. I want to leave them a better country than what I inherited from my parents and grandparents and so on. Isn't that what we're all supposed to want? So take it down. Take it down. All we can do is wait and see. People are either here or they're here, all right? And nobody knows what's going to happen. I'm just positing a different stance whereby we understand we will remain a brigade. We will remain active. And there are many people like Congressman Swalwell, like Congressman Raskin, like dozens of members of Congress and the Senate that also feel that we will keep an eye on everything that's going on, and we will call it out, and we will create our brigade in order to ensure that if they go ahead and they try to do stupid things that will destroy our democracy, that we will put a stop to it somehow, some way.
Well, until there's some miraculous magic wand that erases every time he says he wants to be a dictator on day one, and a magic wand that removes the Supreme Court, giving this individual absolute immunity to engage in the dictatorial ambitions. And the only things that I've seen so far, when you say, Cohen, that maybe he'll do some of the things. Okay, let's just say this. Let's just say some of the things. And you've said earlier in the show that you think he's going to do bloody deportations, right? You said that, right?
Correct. I believe that there will be a mass deportation.
Okay, so
on day one.
Okay, so on day one, what you're agreeing with me on is that he will do bloody mass deportations.
I don't know about bloody deportations, but mass deportations, definitely. They will start working on that day number one.
When you say you don't think it'll be bloody, knock, knock.
Whoa, hold on. I didn't say that it's not going to be bloody. I just believe that they will try to do it where it's not bloody, but they will try to pass.
Let's play it out. Knock, knock. Who's there? ICE. We're coming for your family. Knock, knock. Who's there? We're the police. Why are you here? We're looking for grandma. We're looking for so-and-so. Okay. Come on in. It's okay. Hey, grandma. They're here for you. Okay. All right. Bye. I'll see you later. That's not how it's. How do you think
no.
It's gonna go down?
I'll tell you. Let me tell you how I think that
it's gonna go down like this. We're coming in your house. That's how it's gonna go down. And then you're gonna say, no, you're not touching my freaking grandma. You're not touching Tia.
What I think will,
and that's gonna happen right now in America, among people who are actually contributing to our economy in a deflationary period. I mean, we have to be clear-eyed here, Cohen.
So
even that one thing happens.
Well, okay. Let me say what I believe will ultimately happen right off the bat. There are locations, hotels, etc., where they have migrants that are staying. I don't believe they're going knock, knock, knock on people's home doors. Not yet. I believe at first what they're going to do is they're going to take the migrants that are now under government assistance, whether it's in the hotels and so on, and they're going to round them up, either put them on buses or planes, and they're going to take them over the border. That's exactly what I believe that he's going to do, because it's easy for them to. They already know where these people are.
You think that's going to happen? You think they're just going to take it?
No.
I mean, if you think they're just going to, So there's going to be like, hey, yeah, let's go on this great trip, everybody. We're ready. We're ready. We've been here for 30 years. See ya, everybody.
These
No,
people are not here 30 years. These people are here for 6 months, for 7 months. I'm talking
What do you
about the
base that on?
migrants that are
We've been
right
here for
now.
30 years. What do you base that on?
Talking
Of
about
course,
the migrants that are in hotels. All right, the migrants that are right now in communities that are already being subsidized by government because it's easy for them to round them up. And what it does for Trump is it shows his base that he's fulfilling a promise that he made.
Okay, well, look, there's probably a subset of individuals who are here working their asses off to do jobs that other people don't want to do, and they'll be bloodily mass deported or have bloody mass deportations. There is a group of people, though, and I don't know where, we're positing that he's not going to go after the people who don't have their papers for 30 years or 20 years or 10 years or 40 years. But I suspect that when Stephen Miller is put in charge of that, not only has Stephen Miller said that he's going to go after them, but he's going to go after people who were born here in the United States because they don't believe in citizenship on the basis of people who were born here. If you take what they said, I mean, the videos of Stephen Miller from high school is videos of him attacking janitors and saying, "You're supposed to pick up my food." I mean, these are not people who have engaged in behavior that leads me to believe, all right, we're just trying to appease the base here. We're going after this group of people. Even if they went after that group of people, could you imagine the civil and social unrest that would be caused targeting people who are in this country, throwing people on buses? I mean, we're going to have images of people being loaded onto buses because they're here doing jobs that, by the way, decrease inflation, whether we like it or not, and working their ass. That's what we want to see every day on the news and on TV. I mean, that would even break my heart. But the moment they would start knocking on doors and saying, that's what they say they're going to do, I just think we have to go into this clear-eyed. I think Cohen.
The problem, though, Ben, while you're talking about being clear-eyed, you don't have the crystal ball, neither do I. And maybe I am being stupidly optimistic. Maybe I'm being stupidly hopeful. But I would like to believe that we're better than them. I would like to believe that the American people, I believe he's going to go after the low-hanging fruit with the migrants. I don't believe that the DACA or those that have been here 30 years and so on are going to be able to be deported.
Yeah, but Cohen, low-hanging fruit. I mean, look, we have to forget being clear. Let's just going after low-hanging fruit. Okay, we're talking about human, and I know you know this, and this we're talking about human beings. We're not talking about, and I know it's an analogy. We're still talking about people, and we're the United States of America. So even if, in my view, you took away everything else he doesn't do, but low-hanging fruit means going after a group of human beings and treating them worse than we would actually treat cattle, or even treating them as equivalent of cattle. We're still the United States of America, and that's not how we act. I don't want to see human beings, even if they're migrants, they're still human. They're still human beings who deserve to be treated like human beings at that level. But then I don't have a crystal ball, but I have a memory of everything that's been said and a memory of what's being said yesterday. And my memory is what I'm going
and
by.
I'm just trying to say that I find that a lot of what Trump says, talk is cheap. It's being like a texting tough guy and so on, like the way that many of the trolls here are. My point being, there are still systems in place. I believe he is dangerous, and I believe that the people around him are very, very dangerous. But I do believe that the system will prevent much of what Donald keeps talking about. At least, again, let me say this. I may be foolishly optimistic and hopeful, and I may be trying to project some goodness onto a group of bad people. Yeah, I may be guilty of that. But I want to live in a country where freedom and democracy reigns, even though I am, not you, me, I am the first and the one and only political prisoner held by this country because I refused to waive my First Amendment constitutional right. But what ultimately happened? Thank God for Judge Alvin K. Hellerstein, a guy who could not be corrupted by anybody, went ahead, signed the habeas petition, and ultimately had me returned. All right.
Cohen,
I do believe that
before,
there are systems. I'm hoping there are systems.
Oh, you could hope, but that was before there was absolute immunity. And
But the
now,
absolute immunity, Ben, only applies to him, not to any of the others that carry out his wishes and wants. It only applies to him.
okay, well then what happens when his Justice Department does it? You're going to sue?
That's
Okay.
a problem.
Well, okay. Well, here's what I think, and I believe that first and foremost, more than anybody in this country, or perhaps equal to the top tier, that you've sacrificed. Literally, you've been put in a prison cell in solitary confinement. I believe that you're very close to the situation, and I believe that what has occurred right now, given your past situations and the sacrifice that you have, as a survival reaction to all of this, the reaction, it's hard to fathom it. I can't put myself in your shoes.
Maybe I'm being as gullible as my father and his family. Hold on. Maybe I'm being as gullible as my father and his family when they were in Poland, in Bochnia, Krakow, and Tarnow, Poland. And they never thought in their wildest imagination that something as bad as the Nazis would actually occur, and the horrible, horrific things that took place. Maybe I'm being naive. I'll acknowledge that. Maybe I'm being gullible, and I'm willing to accept that. However, I do truly want to be optimistic, because at this present moment, while we need to stay vigilant and we need to stay we need to stay in control of ourselves and try to protect one another, there's very little that we can do. So I am truly hoping that the systems will prevail.
I don't look, it's not for me or anybody in this chat to say, Cohen, you're being naive or gullible. What you've done in standing up to this before is something that we can't.
Nobody else has done. Nobody else in this country has done.
So none of us should be judging that you're gullible or you're whatever. I'm simply providing you with the perspective of someone who's not lived your life experience to say, here's the data, not a crystal ball, but here's the data that for me suggests a certain thing. We're having spirited debate here and discussion. We have one quick break that we have to take. Let's take that quick break, and then let's have this debate more. Let's go to Ed.
Okay, so look, I know a lot of people say, hey, you're always into these ads. Well, that's because I'm hungry. I'm hungry for some good food, of course, right? And when I am, what do? I reach for my meal from Cook Unity. You see, Cook Unity is the #1 meal delivery service in the US of A. And it's easy to understand why. Cook Unity is the first ever marketplace where everyday folks like you discover and celebrate the absolute best food that the world has to offer. Cook Unity uses award-winning chefs, local farm fresh ingredients, and vibrant flavors delivered directly to your door. So go to cookunity.com/beat and enter code BEAT before checkout for 50%. You hear that? 50% off your first week. Let me give you an example. The other day, I reached into the fridge and I pulled out, get a load of this, a spicy rigatoni alla vodka. And talk about good. Holy crap. I mean, off the charts is more like it. And when I looked at the packaging and it said 680 calories, I was like, no freaking way. But yeah, it's true. All right. As good as any top Italian restaurant in Manhattan. except for one thing. It's in my fridge, and it takes only minutes to heat. In fact, it took me longer to decide which delicious meal I wanted than it took for me to consume. Chefs Larry and Mark Forgione, they nailed it. I mean, it's as good as the meal that I had 2 weeks ago when I was in Rome, Italy. Cook Unity's roster of all-star chefs include Food Network alums, James Beard Award winners, and acclaimed restaurateurs who balance flavor and nutrition in small batch meals that send fresh, not frozen, to your house. I mean, it's easy and it's effortless. I just choose from hundreds of meals prepared by these award-winning chefs. Or, if I'm lazy, I let them choose for me. There's no cleanup or meal planning. The meals, again, delivered, fully cooked. You just heat them up in as little as 5 minutes. Flexible, commitment-free subscriptions. You skip deliveries, pause, or cancel anytime. So enjoy restaurant-quality meals for a fraction of the price. Subscriptions, get a load of subscriptions start as low as $11 a meal. I mean, it's a bargain. The chef-prepared meals make dinner easy, healthy, and most importantly, satisfying. Browse the menu by protein, by chef, cuisine, or dietary need. I mean, you're sure to find the food that you love. So here's the thing. You're never going to get bored as the menus are updated weekly and new chefs are always joining the team. So you'll always find some new favorites. Eating well is as easy with Cook Unity. Affordable food crafted by award-winning chefs delivered again to your door. So go to cookunity.com/beat and enter code BEAT, B-E-A-T, before checkout for 50% off your first week. That's 50% off your first week by using code BEAT, B-E-A-T, or going to cookunity.com/beat. Try it now.
Welcome back to Beatdown. As I've said before, those ads fund this show. We don't have outside investors. It's through pro-democracy sponsors that we exist and we grow. And there's just some other things, but that's how we grow.
Can I say something real quick? So one of our brigaders, Lady Cat, turned around and she said something which I totally agree with. What's wrong with having hope? If you don't have hope, what do you have? Fear? Let me set each and every one of you straight. All right. I stood up to Donald Trump while you watched me on television, either being taken away or being reincarcerated or watching as I was self-surrendering at Otisville. I stood up. I stood up for over 40 plus hours testifying against a man who is now going to be the president of the United States. And I want to be very clear about something. If in fact my hope is wrong, I will stand up again. I'm not running anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. This is my country. This is where my family is. I don't run. I didn't run before. I'm not running again. I just want to be hopeful and optimistic. Plain and simple.
I want to talk about if those who watched Beatdown probably maybe 2 months ago, you and I had another kind of spirited debate and discussion, and it was about Gen Z. Do you remember it, Cohen? And I
do.
and one of the things that I had said then, was I said the one area that I don't have real insight on right now, which I needed to dig into more. We had talked about, a growing issue specifically with Latino men swinging to Trump, and we saw that, but people had been talking about that then. The thing that I had flagged was Gen Z men who were 16, 17 during the pandemic, who were now watching the Logan Pauls and the Rogans and the Theo Vons and, all of those, pods. And I think about if I was their age, when I was at GW, where I went to college, the types of things that I would be watching. And I remember I was saying how there is a pipeline from kind of gamer to kind of right-wing podcasts, but some of them masquerade as, just talking about sports or talking about girls or talking about humor or doing jokes. And then they kind of bring you, whether kind of directly or just kind of through the funnel of, all these people, to a level that's a little more political in nature. And it starts getting pretty MAGA-ish. And then it kind of brings you into the MAGA fold. The right-wing billionaires know about this. They're spending a lot of money on that funnel. Leonard Leo, who's rearranged the courts with the Federalist Society, is spending his money directly there. But very frequently, when you saw high Gen Z turnout, a lot of that split fairly evenly. And you would see people, who were, these guys in college who were voting for Trump. And people would, the orthodoxy would be, oh, Gen Z voters, they're clearly going to vote for, what they're, in theory, on paper, what their interests are. They'll be more liberal. They'll vote for Democrats. But college age students not necessarily going in that direction. And so why am I bringing it up? Because I think one of the things that we have to do, and we have to kind of, recalibrate, because the right wing has used alpha in the sense of punching down at marginalized communities, bullying people, mocking the other, taking away women's rights as being this kind of, alpha thing, when that's not alpha. I think respecting people and standing up for people, is alpha. But as we have to rebuild and reconsider and rethink, we have to learn certain lessons. And to me, there should never be a lesson where, Democrats are pro-democracy. Messaging has to be, well, look, the other side's demeaning people or attacking people's fundamental rights. So if we want voters, that's the wrong lesson. But the right lesson is you have to speak to communities and you have to talk to them, and you can't ignore communities and just think that they're going in certain directions. And that was one of the major factors when you look at the data. Where did Trump gain those voters? He gained the voters in certain specific areas. So I flag that here. And you and I had that debate, if you remember.
Yep. One of the other things that I just want to say is I will remain hopeful and optimistic that things aren't going to be as bad, right, as all the various different vitriolic comments that he has made over the course of the campaign, until such time as I no longer can be optimistic and hopeful. And then and only then will I come out, as I have done before, as I have done and suffered over the last 6 years. I'm willing to go the extra mile for this country, for America's democratic republic. But at this moment, there's nothing going on other than let's just turn around and try to see where we fucked up as the Democratic Party, to try to understand going forward what was wrong, plain and simple. And the worst thing that we can do is try to blame it on Iran, Russia, North Korea, and so on, that this is fixed and we need investigations into it. That's the worst thing we could do. There were mistakes that were made. In fact, just so many of you know, I had multiple conversations with the Harris campaign on things that I felt was going wrong and completely ignored it. Whereas what Trump does is they have talking points that go out every single day. They're lies, but they're talking points. And everybody stays on the same message. So it gets regurgitated over and over and over again. Plain and simple. Let me just end this episode today with my two-finger salute. Goes to anyone who didn't vote. All right? I'm not even going to turn around and say who you should vote for. Too many Americans didn't vote. And those Americans, fuck you, because our situation right now, because I truly believe that Kamala Harris would have been a better president going forward than Donald Trump. But at the end of the day, The American people spoke. We all need to stay hopeful. My opinion, we need to stay optimistic until such time as we don't, until such time as there's actual information and a reality that something is going the wrong way. And then you're going to come and you're going to see me in action, along with people like Ben and Swalwell and Raskin and dozens of other people.
I give the two-finger salute to anybody who's talking about mass deportations right now, the way Byron Donalds on MAGA is and Caroline Levitt. If you think it's alpha to rip apart families in bloody mass deportation exercises to appeal to voters, then I say F you, because America is so much better than that. And the fact that in the past 24 hours, they've been messaging mass deportations, and to people who voted to deport their own family members, you're in for a rude awakening when ICE is knocking at your doors. But here's the thing: if you did that, if you voted to deport your own relatives, guess what? I'm not still going to abandon you. And there are some creators out there who are like, "You're on your own. See you later. Good luck with that." That's not the messaging that comes out of Midas Touch, because that's not how I feel. If I see a fellow human being, even someone who voted against their interest, whose family member is now suffering in the United States of America, I cannot, just not in my nature. I'm sorry. I can't look at you and be like, well, guess what? You did that. Screw you. Bye-bye. I believe that we still have to be the voice for people out there. And I don't want to see human beings in the United States of America who are suffering at all at the hands of our government. So this network will be the front lines of resistance to that. Sure, hope may spring eternal, but we got to look at this for what it is, and we're going to call it out each and every day. Every morning, there will be bulletins of what's happening, what they're saying, how to protect family members, what to do. We're going to highlight leadership like that from Gavin Newsom, who's already calling a special session in the California legislature to protect the state of California and to protect its citizens and its people here. We're going to highlight other governors who step up. We did a video, or we're going to release a video on Jerome Powell, chairman of the Federal Reserve, who says he's not leaving, even if Donald Trump tells him that he has to go. We are going to fight for our institutions here. And I look forward to a day where, again, it could be more restful, where we can be talking more about building. I would have freaking loved that today, to talk about that. And to all the trolls in here, you're just trolling yourself. I'll tell you why, because you're never going to take love out of my heart. Even if he comes after you, trolls, which I'm sure he'll probably do one day, I'm still going to fight for your civil rights. I'm still going to be on the front lines. When I was a civil rights lawyer, I didn't ask my clients if they were Democrats or Republicans. If they were suffering at the hands of the government, I was there by their side. And the commitment that I make to all of you, Midas Mighty, is that's what we're going to do. That's what this network is going to be about. We love you. We're grateful for you. And we have no place to go but to grow, but to protect, but to support, but to defend our Constitution and our values and our principles. So you could all troll on that. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Political Beatdown.